Hello and welcome to my channel Happy Hours. In my last video, I discussed about the education policy under British rule and its phases, where I discussed about the Woods Dispatch in 1854, Hunter Commission 1882, Thomas Raleigh Commission, Sadler Commission, Hartog Commission, Warda Scheme for Basic Education and Sergeant Plan of 1944. In this video, I am going to discuss about some movements, revolts and commissions, where I will discuss about the labor movement and communist movement, Indigo revolt, Pabna revolt, Deccan revolt, Moplah revolt, and Bardoli Satyagraha. In commission and committee, I am going to give a small description about some committees constituted by British in India. So what are we waiting for? Let's start with the discussion with the labor movement and communist movement. In the second half of 19th century, this was the phase of colonization of finance capitalism. Therefore, industrialization happened, which resulted in the beginning of two social classes. First was the class of middle class and the second was the class for labor. In the country where middle class is strong, there is a chance for rise of constitutionalism, nationalism and industrialism. Labor class was working in the secondary and tertiary sector, and now they were having money. They were now consumers, which led to industrial growth and economic growth. In the beginning, unions were not allowed, but slowly there was rise of labor leaders and labor unions. First labor organization which was established in India was Bombay Midland Association by N.M. Lokhande. First modern trade was established by B.P. Vaidya, known as Madras Labour Union. In 1920, famous labor leader N.M. Joshi invited all the trade unions at Bombay and constituted All India Trade Union AITUC. Its first meeting was held in Bombay. It was presided by Lala Lajpat Rai. The beginning of communist movement was very much related to communist revolution in Russia, so known as Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. There were many Indian communists who were eyewitness of this revolution. M.N. Roy was inspired with the revolution and established Communist Party of India at Tashkent. British government immediately imposed ban on Communist Party. Its meetings were considered as conspiracy against British Empire. Communists entered in India in large number. They organized many meetings and which were registered as case by British, like Peshawar conspiracy case, Kanpur Bolshevik conspiracy case, Meerut conspiracy case, etc. British government passed public safety bill to deport communists from India. Many got imprisonment in India, like Muzaffar Ahmad, Shaukat Usmani, Nalini Sen Gupta, Satyapal Dang, etc. 3 British communists were also deported. Those were Philip Spart, Bradley and Hudson. The relation between labor movement and communist movement was self-conciliated. Both believe in class struggle, but their objective was very different. Labor wanted struggle, coexistence and benefit for both, whereas communists wanted elimination of capitalism. Some labor groups had close affinity with communists. They were also divided after announcement of Royal Commission on Labour. Therefore, N.M. Joshi and B.B. Giri established All India Trade Union Federation. After the rise of Mao in China, the armed rebellion also became the part of communist movement and some labor group had established Red Trade Union. To understand more, we can consider the case of Quit India movement. Here, the communists were not supporting this movement. During Great Economic Depression, Marx was idle philosopher, Lenin was idle leader, and USSR was idle state. But after the collapse of USSR, communists were shocked. Reason for communists for not supporting Quit India movement was that during the Second World War, USSR was with British and France, and they were all against Nazi. Nazi was the great enemy of communists. CPI was with the Alliance, means it was with USSR, France, and Britain. Some communist leaders like G.V. Joshi, P.C. Joshi, and S.V. Ghate, they were in favor of nationalist movement. They are they asked their cadres to participate in Quit India movement also. Now I am proceeding with some of the peasant movement in 19th and 20th centuries, like the Indigo revolt 1860, Pabna revolt 1870, Deccan revolt 1875, Moplah revolt 1921, Bardoli Satyagraha 1928, and Tebahaga movement of 1946, which was in Bengal. I am going to discuss about these one by one. Let us proceed with the first revolt, which is the Indigo revolt of 1860. In Nadia districts of Bengal, there was a peasant revolt against British planters. This revolt had started in Govindpur village of Digambar by the Digambar Vishwas and Vishnu Vishwas. There was provision of contract farming because British planters were forced to cultivate on the west part of the land. Bihar and Bengal were conducive for indigo cultivation. British planters fixed the rate, much below than the market price. Peasants lost the freedom of cultivation without any extra benefit. After the revolt, planters moved out of the area and peasants from the forced cultivation. There are many factors which made this revolt successful, such as medium sized landlords had provided leadership to this movement. They used their administrative clout to file the cases against the planters. There was unity between the Hindus and Muslims peasants, and the intellectuals of Bengal like Harish Chandra Mukherjee supported this movement through the newspaper Hindu Patriot. Deen Bandhu Mitra published Neel Darpan, which was the drama to popularize the revolt. Even the missionaries also supported the peasant movement. Now I am going to discuss about the Pabna revolt of 1870s. It had started in Pabna district of East Bengal by Ishwar Chandra, Khudimalla, and Sambhupal. Most of the peasants were Muslims and landlords were Hindus. Jamindar used to give the lands for the rent to peasants. Jamindar gave land revenue to the British. Now the big jamindars were supporters of the British. These jamindars were faulters. The peasants were fighting against the landlord because of the high demand of the rent. There was faulty method of land measurement. This revolt was very much successful because of the British government passed Bengal Tenancy Act in 1885. The factors behind the success of the revolt is that the peasants expressed loyalty to the Queen Victoria. They were loyal to Queen Victoria. They are now the riots of the British. It was not anti-British and there was Hindu-Muslim unity also. All the peasants were together. Now we can understand that the Hindu-Muslims were together and they were all against the landlords. Even the Christian missionaries were also supporting. The intellectual classes like Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, R.C. Datta, Surendranath Banerjee also supported this movement. I am proceeding further with the Deccan Revolt of 1875. It was started in Ahmednagar, district of Maharashtra in 1875. It was led by Pune Sarjanik Sabha under M.G. Ranade. This movement was more directed against private moneylenders rather than the British. Both moneylenders and British were exploiters. Moneylenders charged high rate of interest and they take thumb impression on the bond papers. British government also increased the rate of land revenue on the areas of commercial cropping. In 1875, peasants entered the house of moneylenders and burned their bond papers to destroy the proof of loan. Finally, in 1879, Deccan Agriculturist Relief Act was passed and the British government taken back the increased rate of land revenue. Next is the Moplah revolt of 1921. Moplah revolt was a peasant revolt against the higher rate of rent and exploitative method of collection. Moplahs were Muslim peasants of Malabar coast. They were against the Hindu landlords known as Nair, Shetty or Chetty. Initially, Gandhi and Congress had supported the Moplah revolt. Moplah revolt was integrated with Khilafat movement, so it became anti-British movement. Moplahs targeted Jamindar also. Because Jamindars were collaborators of British, the violence against Jamindar had turned into communal contradiction. It was said that the Moplahs became reactionary when the police entered the mosque to search the Moplah leader. Finding the leader Musalariyar was arrested and hanged, which ended the Moplah revolt. Next is the Bardoli Satyagraha of 1928. British government decided to increase the rate of land revenue in entire Bombay province by 22%. Therefore, the Satyagraha, led by Vallabhbhai Patel, and it was started in Bardoli. He got the title of Sardar during this Satyagraha only. Finally, British government constituted Maxwell Broomfield Commission, and this commission had suggested that only 6.03% of rate increased in the land revenue. So, the Bardoli Satyagraha was another big success to Gandhian technique and gave huge popularity to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. I am proceeding further with Tebhaga movement 1946. It was in Bengal. It was started on the eve of independence. During the famine of Bengal in 1940, there was a massive growth in sharecropping system. British government had already constituted Flood Commission. According to Flood Commission, 2/3 part of the crop was for the sharecroppers and 1/3 part of the crop was for the Jamindar. But in actual practice it was 50%. Therefore, peasants revolted and it was supported by Bengal Provincial Kisan Sabha. It was left-wing party of communists. The settlement became possible only after independence. With this, I have came to the conclusion of all the revolts. Now I am going to discuss about the commission and committees constituted by the British. For railways, Robertson, Mackay, Ackworth, Pope and Wedgwood were the commissions which were related to railway. Next is the famine relief commissions. Strachey, Lyell and MacDonald. For civil services reforms, Atchison, Islington and Lee Commission. For currency, Henry, Hilton Young, Chamberlain and Rahimtullah Commission, and these were all regarding the Currency Reform Commission. Next is the Army Reform. For that, Sadhert Commission and Fuller Commission. The Butler Commission was constituted to define the relation between British Indian provinces and the princely state, the relation between princely state and British government. It recommended that British paramountcy should continue, means that Queen of England will remain the paramount power in foreign and domestic affairs. Next is the Royal Commission, and it was the agriculture and Indian labor. Means it was for the agriculture and the Indian labor. This is also known as Whiteley Commission. With this, I am coming to the end. If you like the content of my video, kindly like, share and subscribe. Thank you.